Good morning. Good morning. So my name is Rena Moran. I'm a state legislator from District 65A in St. Paul. I am proud to introduce ourselves as members of the newly formed People of Color and Indigenous Caucus, hereby referred to as the Posse Caucus. We are representatives from across the state. As representatives of our communities and leaders of wider constituency groups, we are committed to eliminating racial, social, economic, criminal justice, and environmental disparities, and ensuring that we are creating policies, advocating for policies, educating our colleagues, and establishing practices that are fair and just for communities of color, immigrants, and indigenous communities. Today, we introduce Enhance Minnesota, a package of bills we believe will help move our state forward by investing in communities of color through the lens of representatives of color and indigenous members. Our package of bills focus on education, economic development and jobs, criminal justice reform, health, wellness, and housing. These bills bring solutions to the table that we believe will move all Minnesotans forward to a more cohesive One Minnesota. Since my time here at the Capitol, I spent many sessions as the only African American in a body of 134 legislators. I am elated to have that number triple with Representative Erin May Quade and Representative Ilhan Omar joining me in the House. We know of the awful disparities that impact the African American community within every system. Minnesota has some of the worst disparities in the nation, gaps that have been widened over the past 55 decades, and that soon may create a statewide economic crisis. The U.S. Census data shows that Minnesota families of color have been burdened, now have the median income about half of those as our white neighbors. Blacks, Hispanics, Native American families all make less today than they did in the 1970s. Black families are hardest hit, now earning a median annual income of about $33,900, compared with about $81,500 for white families. Today, more than 20% of Hispanics and 30% of Black and Native American families are poor. Those numbers have grown, and in some cases, significantly. White poverty has declined, with just 5% of white Minnesota's families now living in poverty. Asians are the only minority families who have seen their median income grow, with a 2014 median family income of about $71,500. Asian families earn about $10,000 a year less than whites. Hmong families are an exception, however, with many living at or near poverty after coming to Minnesota as refugees. And there are some other Asian families, too. They are living in poverty. Minnesota is an outlier nationally. White Minnesota families have higher median incomes. White Minnesotans of color and indigenous earn less than their peers nationwide. So why the gap? Why the gap? Well, experts and elected leaders continue to debate why economic and academic racial disparity exists and persists. Leaders from communities of color say a few basic factors play a large role, including misunderstanding what immigrants need, failing to invest in diverse communities, and disproportionately imprisoning men with Black and brown skin. Racial prejudice also continues to be an important factor. A recent study from the Metropolitan Council found skin color and ethnic backgrounds played a key role in disparities, even after accounting for age, education, and language skills. Our work is to help improve the outcomes within our communities by bringing our creative, innovative solutions from the community into this body so that we are working with our community instead of for our communities. I'm sorry here. So today, you will hear from the diverse legislators that make up the Posse Caucus. I am excited about this moment and this day, and I would like to introduce our next speaker, who will be Senator Patricia Torres-Ray. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I am just delighted to see you here and more delighted to see my colleagues. I believe that I am the most senior senator in here, and I can't believe it. I just got here 11 years ago. So I am in awe, and I am just very, very appreciative of their presence here. Collectively, we represent the most diverse communities, the fastest growing communities, and the youngest communities in the state of Minnesota. So it is absolutely essential that we work together to make sure that we eliminate the disparities that exist in the state of Minnesota today. And we need to move beyond the rhetoric. We simply need to get it done. So collectively, we have a number of bills that we have authored, and everyone is going to talk about the need to increase the number of teachers of color in the classrooms, the absolute need to address housing issues among communities of color, open opportunities for new jobs and improve our economy to give opportunities for new immigrants, and make absolutely sure that our young people have opportunities to succeed. I am thankful for your presence here because I believe that it is not, although we are members of these communities, we are not the only ones who represent communities of color in the state of Minnesota. Many of our colleagues who are not here, who are not people of color, have large communities of color within their districts. They have many constituents that come here to ask for support and to ask senators and representatives to address their needs. We need those voices to be heard, not only by the people of color who are here, but also by the representatives who were elected to come here to represent those voices. So thank you for being here, to come, for helping us increase our voices and make sure that communities of color are heard and that disparities are addressed in the state of Minnesota. And it is my pleasure to introduce Representative Peggy Flanagan.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Peggy Flanagan, and I represent District 46A, which is in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. And I'm thrilled to be here today. I was elected in 2015 in a special election and was able to become the second Native American woman elected. And now we've got 4 Native women in this legislature, along with a Native man on the other side of the aisle. And so when I think about the work that we do here at the Capitol, when democracy functions, it functions best when it reflects the communities that it seeks to represent. And so what you saw happen on Monday, the conversation that we had on Friday regarding Indian education and how we're supporting our Native students across the state, we're speaking for ourselves. And that matters. We're changing the conversation. When I first got here, I was a little surprised by how often some of my colleagues introduce legislation without speaking to the folks who are directly affected by those policies that they're introducing. And so my hope here with the Posse Caucus and our colleagues who are supporting our work is that we can change that. Having the Posse Caucus introduced in 2017 has already changed the conversation, and I look forward to the work that we'll continue to do together. We all have election certificates, and now we have to be listened to. But we're doing more than speaking. As we introduce these packages, we introduce this comprehensive package, some of the bills in the Enhance Minnesota effort include requiring us to make meaningful investments in improving access to high-quality, affordable childcare. It also includes finally taking action to eradicating the threat of toxic lead poisoning from housing in Minnesota, and recommitting ourselves to families who want to help their loved ones stop their addiction to opioids, which is an issue in particular in the Native community that has wreaked havoc. And so these policies, this package, comes from our communities. And as Representative Moran said so eloquently, we are no longer just working on behalf of, but we are working in partnership with communities of color. And it's a new day here, and I'm so glad to see all of you, and this feels good. Thank you. I'd like to now turn it over to Representative Ilhan Omar.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Representative Ilhan Omar, and I represent District 60B in Minneapolis. This, as many of my colleagues say, is a new day in the Minnesota legislature. We're engaging each other on issues that matter to the communities that we represent. We are joining together in numbers that make a real impact on the change we are trying to advance. The Posse Caucus has come together to push legislation that will protect, establish civil rights for Minnesotans of color, and that would help stop the future and economic and societal harms of current policies by shifting our focus at looking at people away, focus of locking people away to the focus of empowering people to retake control of their lives instead of the revolving door of the criminal justice system. We also know that Minnesotans of every race have the right to feel safe from gun violence in their communities. That's why the Posse Caucus is strongly opposing the first shoot and reckless carry legislation authored by House Republicans this year. The Enhanced Minnesota packages include gun safety measures we support, like the Tyler Hayden Gun Violence Prevention Act. Furthermore, the first step necessary in fixing a problem is to acknowledge that it is real. And that's why we're strongly supporting legislative efforts to quantify the impact of racial disparities, and improve cultural sensitivity police officer trainings. We're also making sure that what leads into the pathway to economic improvements and closing the disparity gap when it comes to economics are closed. And so I represent a community, Somali community, who is thriving in entrepreneurship. And so I have two significant bills. One is to support the Cedar Riverside Opportunity Center so that we are able to create more opportunities for jobs in our community. The Somali community faces 17% to 24% unemployment rate. And so if we are serious in closing that disparity, we need to make sure that we are investing in that. We also have a thriving entrepreneurship in our community. And so I'm also introducing a bill that would create microloans for East African women so that they are able to open up their own businesses and expand them as well. We are also collectively here not only advancing an agenda, but we are standing up against bills that are being produced by the Republicans that are going to be detrimental to the success of our communities. So as the Posse Caucus, we are opposing the preemption bill. And as you saw on Monday, we strongly stood against the anti-protest bill. And as you've seen since the beginning of session, we are speaking in one voice, standing against discriminatory Real ID bill. And so we ask you to join us and help us amplify our voice. Thank you. And now I'm excited to introduce Senator Hur.
Thank you very much, Thank you, everybody, for coming. I am the chair of the Senate Posse Caucus, and I represent District 67, Eastside St. Paul, the home base of immigrants and new Americans. And I just want to talk a little bit, begin my speech with the history of Minnesota. You know, the face of ethnic minorities in the Minnesota legislature has been around since the 1800s. To be exact, it's 1849. But it has been sporadic in almost 2 centuries without the face of indigenous or people of color until the recent years. This year, we are blessed to have 14 members serving out in our Minnesota legislature, which tell us a lot about the growth of our diversity in our state. The mission now is no longer a singular voice among the many. Like one of my friends puts it on her book, said, one bamboo among the oaks. But today is like one of my monks saying, said one bamboo, you cannot fence it, create a fence around everybody, around a garden. But if you have hundreds of bamboo, then you can weave a fence around the garden. And we now have a cluster, a bond of common cause for people of color and indigenous. Many of issues are the same as you have heard from my colleagues. Equity, economic development opportunity are important. And I'm not much a statistic guy, but I'll break that down a little bit. Asian American has buying power of $9 billion. Somali and Hmong are around $6 billion separately. So if we want to enhance equity, and if we are working together to enhance equity, we are enhancing Minnesota. And this is an exciting time for me to serve among the 200 other legislators, and also an exciting time for us to be together as 14 members to start the Posse Caucus. So thank you, and I end my speech with this, and we're open up for questions.
So, are there any questions?
In the past, there's been talk about putting an economic disparity note on legislation to give some sort of quantification on how it is helping or not. Is that part of this effort here that you're going to do? And can you tell me about that?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Representative Erin May Quaid. I represent 57A, which is Apple Valley and a small portion of Lakeville. The answer is yes. That is a bill that I've introduced. We know the fiscal impact of all of the bills that we pass, but we don't know the equity impact of all the bills that we pass. And I think one of the best ways that we can start making policy that really impacts all Minnesotans equally and justly is look at what the impact is. And I think we can make better decisions and we can make better votes if we know the equity impact. So that is a bill that I have introduced, and it is part of this package.
We understand that there's no money in either the majority bills for census preparation. How important will that be for making sure people are counted accurately, represented accurately?
It's critically important. When we think about civic engagement, so often we think about casting a ballot or coming down to the Capitol and then we're done. But the census is part of that civic engagement. And the count, right, the accurate count of who lives in Minnesota is going to impact dramatically for the next decade and decades after that, how money is invested. And so I am troubled that there isn't additional monies or any money in for the census. And I think it's certainly something that my colleagues and I believe we're here, we're counted, and the people that we represent should be counted as well. Thank you.
On Monday, Representative Melissa Hortman stated that women and minorities are being ignored on the floor and being essentially ignored in the legislative process. Do any of you think that is true, and can you give me any examples?
I think that is true. Not only on the floor, but in our state. You know, I've carried bills that talks about the wage gap in the state, where you have African American, Native American, Asian Americans who are making 60+ cents to the dollar, with Latina making about 57 cents to the dollar, and white women somewhere between 78 and 80 cents to the dollar. So we know that we bring value to this state, and often enough, our voices are missing from the table. The decision-making process is not fair and just, and I think we can all agree that on the House floor, we can feel discounted, and within our state and within our community and our district, we feel that same part of being discounted.
Did anybody else want to add to that, or?
Republicans in the legislature have often
Oh,
said.
sorry, I'm sorry. So just to add to that point, we doubled our numbers in the House DFL caucus, right, of individuals of color and Indigenous members. I think you see what impact that is having, both on this package, but also how we amplify one another's voices. It's not going to stop. And I think that, the point is, we're changing the conversation. We're changing the conversation. And maybe what you saw happen on the floor is a reflection of what happens outside of this building as well. But that's why we're here, and that's why we're going to keep working, and that's why we've put this package together, to let folks know that our voices have value, and we're going to keep talking and keep introducing policies that we think are good for the entire state of Minnesota.
I apologize. I was going to ask, Republicans in the legislature often say that the reforms they propose, such as changing teacher tenure or teacher layoff rules, are ways to address racial disparities. And I'm wondering what the folks up there think of that type of a proposal, that policy reforms would be a better way of addressing some of these issues.
So we have a teacher shortage here in Minnesota, and the only way that we need to think about how we're going to lay off teachers is if we plan to underfund education. And when we saw the education bill, we know that we plan to underfund education under the House Republican bill. It is not fully funding our public schools, and so we know that all families need their schools to be fully funded. We know that every community needs a strong public school. Sometimes the public school down the street is the only choice. Private schools can choose their students. So when we're talking about education, that's why we saw legislation that was introduced to talk about how we're going to lay off teachers. It's not about racial disparities. It's about how can we underfund our public education and then figure out a different way for districts to lay off their teachers. We need to fully fund education to support all students in Minnesota, and that will have a hand in closing the racial disparities.
I would like to also add to that is that one of the things that I had the opportunity to speak to teachers of color, teachers who want to go into the profession, and one of the biggest barrier to that is unpaid student teaching. We know that is the barrier. Having 6 weeks of unpaid student teacher for many of the women and men who are going into that profession who have families, who have a mortgage to pay, is not doable. So when we say that as a caucus, that we bring value and perspective to the table about what works for our community, it is because we have engaged our community in what they believe works best for them. And I think often enough that is a piece that we find that is missing around the decision-making process and with bills and proposals.
Are the transit cuts something, I mean, I know white folks use public transportation too, but how will this affect the folks that you represent?
Yeah, I think that's a huge issue, because I know within the urban core, we are a transit-dependent city. And when we don't fund transportation, and as in the Republican proposal, it's a 40% cut. And when we cut, it also increases fares. So we have many people from our community who are not making livable wages, right? But they use transit to go to work, they use transit to go to school, we use transit to go grocery shopping. So it has a huge impact on our communities. And again, that is a product of not allowing the voices from our communities to be heard in a way that moves us forward.
I haven't heard it talked about yet, but I would like to know what is the posse's plan for eliminating some of the barriers that come with the state audit that was done around disparities in hiring in state jobs, because that affects our communities and all of you up there also, because one of the ways to have an effective and viable community is to have everybody out of poverty and everybody able to gain employment that they can take care of their families with. And I know that this has been an issue. It has been here in Minnesota because we've been talking about this for the last 19 years, like 20 or 30 of them, about this hiring process that we have. What do you have in mind to eliminate those barriers for people who are not being counted in those jobs?
That's a huge issue, right? When we talk about economics. I know as I go from community to community, one of the highest concerns people have is being able to take care of themselves. They want to work. And one of the things that we did last session was we intentionally created the economic package of bills where we really was able to direct dollars from this body into diverse communities. That's something that we know is needed. Often enough, we're in our community working hard to create the opportunities, but we're not always seen in value as a good investment. So we're going to continue to work on that package. Currently, we have the Republican who has decided to take back those dollars, right? It impacts women, because there's no direct appropriation for women in that package. And so our hope is that as legislators, yeah, we're going to have Mary come up here and speak too, but we definitely have work to do, and that's a top priority for us.
Good morning. I'm Representative Mary Kunish-Podine. I represent 41B, which is Columbia Heights, southern half of New Brighton, St. Anthony, and Hilltop. One of the disappointments for me as a new legislator this year was sitting in the state government finance commission and seeing and hearing all the cuts that have been put out there by our GOP brothers and sisters. And one of them that they have decided to eliminate is the state recruitment program, where the state intentionally went out into the broad communities, into the diverse occupations and work, looking for folks of color, intentionally looking for those that would be able to represent us in the state as well as throughout the legislature. And so it was really disappointing for me to see that they would cut that position. They all had targets that they had to meet, and again, I don't think they were talking to their community. I don't think they were talking to the stakeholders when they made some of those cuts, and so that would be something that going on, I think all of us as a group would work to reintroduce and strengthen as time goes on. So thank you.
Can I add something here at the very last part? And that's the reason that we're forming a posse caucus here, so that we can add it our strength. As I say earlier, one bamboo you can never put a fence around a garden, but if 14 of us weave around with our allies, and thank you for Representative here also joining us too. With the GOP equity package, or education equity package, however they want to call it, if minority parents or minority are not part of the discussion or not at the table, then it doesn't matter whether it's candy or gold that they're going to hand and make our lives better. No, that's not going to happen. We have to be at the table, not just the citizen out there, but we have to be on their bill to confirm that that bill will work for our people in order for us to work, instead of having someone else that this will work for you. Let me turn that around. Let's say if I put something out here in the city of St. Paul and I said that will work for Wilmer or Willington, it will work. Willington had a large immigrant population, but an isolation so far removed from where we are living.
So I want to thank you all for coming today. I just want to thank our colleagues who are standing here with us, who have also worked so hard to ensure that we are creating a more equitable, just, and fair state that really works to align all of us, communities of color, indigenous community, immigrants, and refugees, so that we are a strong One Minnesota. So thank you so much.